How was your week?
Very good week, actually. Very busy, very fulfilling.
Why was it fulfilling?
When you put something together and you execute it, it's just rewarding afterwards. So,
from a HETMA standpoint, how was it?
It was fulfilling.
That's going to be the word of the day.
Oh my God.
This is going to
be so much of kumbaya.
Hey, finally I get an episode title.
Yeah.
Fulfilling.
Yeah.
InfoComm was fulfilling.
It was
We don't know
fulfilling.
numbers yet, but it was fulfilling.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
InfoComm 2025 Part 2 coming to you from the fine folks at Midwich's booth. We take a look at interoperability, AI, and the important role of Brits in the U.S. AV market. All that and more next on AV Week. This is AV Week, episode 722, recorded Friday, June 13th, 2025. InfoComm 2025, Part 2. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of the audiovisual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. We are coming to you from InfoComm. This is episode number 2. Next week, we'll be back in studio with all the regular things. So, this time around, we've got 3 fantastic human beings, and we'll spend a few minutes with them. First and foremost, another Brit, episode 2. They let 2 Brits in the country this week.
I know.
Neil Fluester's the second one. How are you, brother?
I'm very good, Tim, and I'm an Apple Mac convert. I am an Apple Mac thanks to you.
We'll talk.
This is my takeaway from the
We'll
show.
talk about that in a second.
Right to the punchline.
Right to the
Yeah.
punchline. That gentleman right there, the other voice, is my buddy, Mr. Josiah, Dr. Josiah Way.
Hey, Tim, thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. And last but not least, host of our State of Control podcast, Mr. Steve Greenblatt from Control Concepts. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Great to
Good.
be back.
How was your week?
Good week. Very good week, actually. Very busy, very fulfilling. So
Why was it fulfilling?
Well,
Because that's weird to say on a tech show.
so there's every InfoComm for me requires a lot of planning because I'm a planner, and I was directly involved in putting together our meeting schedule and our strategy, and that's something that Brittany, who was on our previous episode, she and I team up on doing things like that. So we decided that I'm the one that was going to do it for this event, and it just. When you put something together and you execute it, it's just rewarding afterwards. So
I can feel that.
and
yeah.
we've had really great meetings.
Good. Joe, HETMA has a booth for like the 3rd or 4th
This
year.
is our 3rd InfoComm, 4th trade show, because
Yeah.
we did ISC
We did
this year
ISC.
as well. Yeah.
From a HETMA standpoint, and then we'll get to the more Joe Way IT AV guy. From a HETMA standpoint, how was it?
It was fulfilling.
That's going to be the word of the day.
Oh my God.
The
This
word
is
of the
going to be so
podcast.
much of
Hey,
kumbaya.
finally I get an episode title.
Fulfilling. InfoComm was fulfilling.
It was
We don't know
fulfilling.
numbers yet, but it was fulfilling.
Yeah, actually, it went beyond expectations, and I'll be honest that I thought it was going to be a down year,
Okay.
and because that's the way things were trending, right? With our education summit that we kicked the week off with an incredible keynote speaker. If you've ever heard of Tim Albright, he did awesome.
I'm aware of his work.
And
You and the feds, but go ahead.
and our the Hired AV Awards that originally the tickets were coming down, where we had a great Hall of Fame inductee. If you've ever heard of Tim Albright,
Yeah.
Make sure you follow
He
him,
looks
too.
so
No,
bloody
we'll
amazing in
follow
that
him on
suit.
What
Come on.
world did I invite you into?
This is just the...
I obviously need Steve Greenblatt's planning.
That's right.
Because I did not plan this well.
this is the We Love Tim show.
Oh my God.
But that being said, then we get to the floor and I'm thinking, okay, it's good. I'm hearing that my colleagues in higher ed, we have travel restrictions, we have budget things, people can't come. But then, like 40 signups for the summit at the door. The Hired AV Awards are a sellout. I'm paying for 40 more dinners than I'd originally planned, right? It's like, wait, what's going on here? Our booth has been non-stop packed completely. So it has been fulfilling in that way. It's like, because it was unexpected, because in the industry, or at least in the higher ed vertical, all we're hearing is about negativity, right?
Yeah.
I don't have money for this. I can't travel. The tariffs are hitting me. I can't do this project. And all of a sudden, where are all these people, right? And it was like, they're here. So I don't know what that means, but it was a pleasant surprise, and I think it says something about our industry.
Good.
Of kind of how we're able to work through those hard times. Maybe COVID taught us something, maybe how to be resilient and how to keep pushing forward. but it's just been amazing, and honestly, not what I came in thinking it was going to be.
Really quickly, and this is somewhat of an aside and somewhat joking, but not really. First of all, thank you very much for the award. It was very, very nice. But something Joe said the night of the award ceremony was that he would get a tattoo if they got 7,000 some odd
7,230 scans.
And hang on, and then I mentioned on stage with a mic in my hand, and no, I haven't been drinking 2.5 years, but I said, if Joe gets a tattoo, I will too. So how close are we to getting matching tattoos?
We're not going to hit it.
Okay,
all right.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
We had 3,400 scans last year, so I thought it would take there, but we are trending to be the same number of scans this year.
Okay.
So, which again, I didn't think it was going to be.
Yeah.
But no, I think that we will still both be tattooless.
Well,
here.
Tattoo in 2026.
Okay,
Let's make this happen. If you're
Well, what is
listening or
the
watching this,
tattoo?
let's make it
the
happen.
HETMA H.
So he was going to get the
HETMA
HETMA H. I was going to get AVWeek's logo.
Wow.
Love it.
Which I do not have.
That's commitment.
All right, Neil, how was your week before I start getting any more trouble?
It was bonkers, really, because normally I'm here on just one booth, representing one partner, one customer, one vendor. And for me, as an independent, potentially, if that is going to work, I've been running around ragged between multiple vendors.
Welcome to the circus.
Yes, exactly. But it's great being able to see. I'm a bit of a magpie. I love tech, love geeking out on stuff. So being able to represent different and cherry pick the good stuff and getting out to see more stuff has been really, really good. And it's been nice. I'm so glad to have been able to make it out here, because InfoComm is an amazing show. And there's not many Brits, as you say, if that's here. There's a few of us that get out here, but ISE is normally our big show.
100%.
So again, InfoComm is just such an amazing environment. And again, just it's the people. Again, it's just hanging out with, again, everyone here is just so great.
All right, Steve. Steve has a long history in the industry in general. What would you say is an overarching trend? And I'm going to ask you two the exact same question. The overarching trend from this year.
Obviously, our perspective on it is a little bit different because we come to it from a software side and a control side, and we meet with a lot of the manufacturers to talk to them about working together and working to having their products be more compatible with others, and I think that is growing. So we've had this flip-flop, and it's continued here, which is one of the things that I was hoping for and predicted going in, that the closed systems have become a lot more open, and now they're becoming even more open to the point where that competitiveness, I've brought that up in some of the conversations, and they said, yeah, you know what, just we want to work together. It's more important for us, for our products to work with others than it is to protect our products from the competition. And I think that's really big, and it's so refreshing that we're going back to integrating products that are different and are really meeting clients' needs. And this is driven, in my opinion, from technology managers, because they're saying we don't want to be locked into any particular product line or any particular brand, because that's not good business for us. And we have to protect ourselves. So that's what I think is really the overarching trend that we found.
All right, Joe, same question?
Yeah, I want to echo that completely. And I'll say one of the things, the trend that I saw was the lack of what I expected, and I thought we were going to have the word AI shoved down our throat, and that everyone would have it, and that was it. And it's not, right?
It's here.
It's here, but not in the way I thought it would be, because we've been seeing it as in like it's the marketing buzz, right? But when I go to the booths and I'm talking to our manufacturer partners, it goes right along with what Steve was saying. I'm seeing a lot of people going, hey, software, you're gonna be able to use this in any environment that you have. It's gonna work with everything else. Oh, by the way, we have our cloud monitoring, all those things. So they're looking at things much more enterprise management wise, even if it's just a thing, a camera, or whatever. They're saying, oh, and it comes with XYZ that will integrate with this. So that mode of thinking kind of outside the ecosystem is what I've seen. And again, I don't know if people are saying that to me because they know that's how I think, but it seemed to be common with everything, that there's always that, we're not just the little black box or the little black camera, we're also, it's the and this, the yes and kind of approach is what I'm seeing a lot of.
How, as an AV and an IT manager, user, how important is that I'm going to say interoperability. It's not probably one-to-one, but that openness, the ability to connect to other things.
100% important, and I think that we finally kind of turned turned the page, whatever the right words are, from that. Oh, I want everything closed and never, thou shalt not go on my network, etc., and all of that. And we're recognizing the need for enterprise management, being able to, not rely on, kind of sneaker net to get to rooms. And I think, though, that has to do with the change that happened over the last 5 years, that tech managers, and I'll just speak from higher ed, are, moving away from being under the libraries or under the provost's office to in IT.
Yep.
And that IT mentality is going. Why? Because our CIOs think that way. And they're thinking, hey, don't you put anything in here that I can't monitor and won't follow our cybersecurity practices, that we don't know if there's a breach, because the last thing you want is, any breach in anything. A fun fact, not so fun fact, if you think on the dark web, a social security number sells for about $4. Academic records sell for about $250.
Really? Wow.
Holy cow.
Yes, that is a true way to get into someone's identity and basically become somebody else. And that's why you see this cybersecurity, even the UC system. We had our President Drake from the UC system gave a mandate to all of our schools that by, let's say, or this month or next month, that we had to have certain protocols that we had to follow. Everything has to go through TPRM, third party terms of management, whatever it stands for. There I go. There's the Bradford Ben rule. You have to say that, right?
I appreciate it. I'll get a call.
And but we have to go through that before it can touch our network, right? And therefore, I need those tools. One, for me, obviously, because it helps me support, but it's not going to pass TPRM and with my cybersecurity team unless they can know that it can be managed.
That's awesome.
Right.
Also a little bit scary and daunting, but that's still awesome.
Absolutely.
Neil, what was some trends for you this week?
I can echo both these guys' points. The AI thing is interesting. Again, it was such a buzzword at ISE and InfoComm, and I don't know if it's table stakes now or it's kind of expected. It should be in the products, but that certainly has not been a big thing this week. It's interesting to hear about the security stuff and the openness. So is it Open AV? Is this open standard that I heard a few people announcing at the show? So that's interesting. And then the ability to then, Microsoft have been talking about MDEP. So MDEP obviously is now coming of age. We've been talking about that. And again, that goes back to the standardization. A lot of InfoSec security people are saying, can't put Android on our network, can't, run these kind of, again, from my UC world, MDEP and Microsoft are hopefully going to sort that out and put their name behind that. And again, Barco announced their MDEP actual hardware product, whereas previously MDEP was just like, yeah, we're part of the club. We're now actually seeing MDEP devices, so the Jabra BBS40, the new Barco solution around that. So those are things I think are coming of age. Other than that, there's not been anything. I've not been blown away by anything massive. It's a bit more iterative. I think again, it's maturity of products now coming to market and being mature. That's again, there's nothing that's kind of like really stand out for me as a
edit that out.
Ticket. All right.
Mitchell is here in Orlando, so he can edit that out. Steve, as we kind of wrap this up, Neil said something about the show being, the products being iterative.
Yeah.
I would say, that, and I have written this, and quite frankly, I will write a wrap-up of this show, and I will say basically the same thing, Neil. This show is iterative. It doesn't make it good or bad. It is simply an acknowledgement of the maturity of the industry.
It used to be the launch event. Like when I was at Polycon, it's like everything got launched in InfoComm. It's like the big ta-da!
Okay, so there were some announcements.
Yeah.
But even those announcements were iterative, right? They were announcements at ISE. Some of them were brand new product categories. Sure had their new Teams Rooms systems. They had an iteration on that this week, right? Talk for a second about the maturity of this industry and why people like me should stop expecting big flashy announcements at ISE and InfoComm.
One of the things that I want to comment on is that in our current state, we're hearing a lot of people that have that uncertainty, and I know that that's a buzzword, but it's hard to identify the path forward. And manufacturers, I think, are being impacted significantly with where do you manufacture your products, what's that cost going to be, how are things going to change, and is my roadmap, does that have to get revisited? So I think that we may be seeing a little bit of the impact of that here. We had some of those conversations, but this every show has its own flavor, and I've been to quite a number of. I think this is 29 for me for InfoComm. So I think we all are trying to move forward together, and I think that the fact that it is different and we're seeing the industry listen a little bit more and collaborate a little bit more, I think is really important. So iterative is a great word if you think of it from that perspective, because we're not going and saying this is the way it should be and pushing that. Instead, we're saying what is it that we need and how can we work together to solve that. So that's really what I see. And I want to make one other comment about the monitoring. I definitely see that's a big point of conversation, and I think that's something that it has a little bit of not a clear path forward as well, but it's very important.
Yeah, I want to add to that. See if I can take your short question and turn it into a long answer. You said something there. Why is it iterative, and why are we not seeing these big, product releases at ISE and InfoComm anymore? And a lot of it has to do, I think, with that move to software, with a move to the device I/O now isn't necessarily how many HDMI ports and how many of this and how many of that. It's all network, right? So it's firmware, it's software running on another box. So the change can be iterative, not just at 2 shows, but throughout the year. And that's what we're expecting, right? Yeah. The X thing now works with Teams, and then 2 weeks later, now it is also Zoom certified. The box didn't change. The firmware they put on it changed, and that's why we don't have to see the new thing with, now this show, we added 2 more HDMI ports or whatever, right? So I think it's because of that, and it's the change in the way our technology is why we can see it more iterative and not relying on 2 shows for that to be the release.
But maybe, again, we've got, from the hardware point of view, again, I've always been a hardware guy, maybe the hardware is now more of a platform that then the software goes on. And as we move to cloud, there's no, we used to have like version 4, version 5. With cloud, it is. Features just drop. It's agile. There's no like big releases. They just drop and trickle out as they go. But I think the other thing that's really interesting, and again, coming from Europe to America, and America is the world of excess. It's like you walk and everything, food, lights, power, everything.
Neil Fluester at gmail.com.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's interesting because, again, at ISE, you got people like Save, and sustainability was a big thing at ISE. And again, with the tariffs, which again I'm not an expert on, I'm not going to get political, but with the tariffs and shipping physical hardware, maybe the move to software brings not only the ability to get over those problems of shipping tin around the world in containers and ships and all the rest of it, but also then makes us more sustainable, that we're not buying something and then throwing it away in 3 years' time. We can just buy a base platform and then we can just keep iterating and features and functions, but it's a slow drip feed trickle rather than this big ta-da of a new software load or a new port or socket or whatever widget, whatever it's going to be. So maybe it's a good thing for sustainability. Maybe it's a good thing for vendors to get around the tariff challenges and shipping tin around, that they can actually then be more agile and more quick to market and get stuff out globally around the challenges that we have in the world at the moment.
All right, very good. That's a good place to stop. Mr. Greenblatt, thank you, sir. How do people connect with you or Control Concepts?
So for me personally, you can reach me at Steve Greenblatt on social media. Control Concepts is at controlconcepts.net. And one of the things that we do is we do API integration, and we do some of the building blocks that programmers can use to make their projects go smoother. And I'm also the host of A State of Control with my partner, Rich Vergoza. So check that out at AVNation.tv.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Wei, how do people connect with you or HETMA?
Yeah, you can find me at Josiah Way on all of the socials, and of course HETMA at HETMA_org on all the socials, and at booth C6023 at InfoComm 2026.
Nice.
How about that for organization?
That is awesome.
Huh?
Did Aaron do that for you or BC?
I actually did that. So one thing that we learned that I show my most value when I sit and do nothing. Okay, that was what we took away from this. I had one job, and that's find out where next year's booth is. I accomplished that.
Very good.
There we go. C6023 at InfoComm
Very nice.
2026.
023.
Mr. Fluester, how do people connect with you?
I make a nuisance of myself generally on LinkedIn most of the time, so please hook up with me there. One day I'll come up with a company name and come up with a price list, but at the moment I'm an independent, available for hire, weddings, bar mitzvahs and funerals. Hook me up, sign me up, and find me on LinkedIn. I'd love to talk.
Thank you all. For me, for Tim Albright, don't follow me anywhere. If you want to read something that
He's
I
amazing.
write that have nothing to do with AV,
The award-winning Tim Albright.
oh my God, you
Hall
can't
of Famer.
connect with me.
Two-time Hall of Famer, actually.
Two-time, that is accurate, actually. You can connect with me on LinkedIn.
And just a general good guy.
Oh my God. Go by the website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. I don't even know what day it is, y'all, so go by the website. You can find everything that we've done this week at InfoComm at avnation.tv/IC25. You will be seeing a post about the wonderfully nice folks at HETMA and the fantastic award that they blessed me with. You'll be seeing that coming down the pipeline on LinkedIn. But yeah, go by the website, avnation.tv. It's avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That's all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
This is AV.
This
is AV Nation.
This is AV Nation.